let's go back to go ahead. I mean, like I was saying, if if we could get this point before Comcast drops again, um, it felt like a predominant SmackDown pay per view in short, and it's ridiculous how it all happens that way.
Yeah, this was. I hadn't even thought of it like that, but it is true. Like there wasn't much on the Raw side of things to even care about here.
Yeah, and at the end of it, um, we just ended up with a SmackDown pay per view. I'm more
Sure.
excited by the way of NXT.
That one snuck up on me. I got the I got a notification today from WWE that's like, "Hey, do you want on this media call?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, that's this weekend." It really snuck up on me. I was very, I don't want to say surprised, but yeah, it was pretty quick. It just bam out of nowhere. And I don't know if I was ready for that.
Well, like I was saying to Warren on his prediction show, is that we're gonna have four pay per views within a month, and
Oh
then you
yeah.
have possibly two more in October. You're looking at eight pay per views in 3 months, and if the Saudi show, that would be an extra nine. That's just really insane. You don't see
They ain't go,
AEW doing that at all, or anybody else.
they ain't going to Saudi. They ain't going there for a while, I don't think. Not to mention the fact they're owed money, but I don't think they'll make the travel. But oh gosh, next month, about a month from now, it's going to be a nightmare weekend. Friday is SmackDown, Saturday is UFC and Bound for Glory, and that's a big UFC show and a a really big Impact show. That's the biggest show of the year. That's going to be a tough one. And then the WWE pay per view the next night, Hell in a Cell, and then Raw. Oh boy,
And you are the busiest guy I've ever met.
it happens. It's a benefit. It's a good thing to be busy, I think.
Yeah, it for me recently it isn't. Please Comcast, just keep the stream going. All I'm asking, it's like I've reset this router 3 times already. Oh boy.
Well, I mean, hey, tech issues happen.
Yeah, well, hopefully it stays it like this. Um, I literally am excited for NXT for the pay per view, and it's one of those things that, come on, there we go. It just froze for a second. It's still going like that. Um, but I'm more excited about it just because of everything else that's happening with O'Reilly being its opportunity and everything else.
I
So
love it.
it do you think they're serving Kyle up for like a soft match, like how they did with Roman, the same instance with Finn, just to give him somebody for the time being?
Maybe, but I think they're also looking to establish. I think they're looking to establish Kyle O'Reilly better than what they had in the past. I think that's an important thing for them to do, and they got to do it. They got to do it. They got to keep creating new names, new people, new talent, and it's very important that they do that because they have not done that. I think enough, at least with guys that are still around. Keith Lee's gone. Killer Cross is gone. They got to make newer people near the top of the card.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to see who they bring up. I'm just hoping somebody else in the PC step up. I really am high on Bronson Reed, though, after everything that he's done.
He's improved an awful lot, big time.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to see what they do with him. Do you think, and we're going just forward a little bit, that the Garganos are actually going to pull their quote unquote prophecy off with both of them with the title pitch, chances?
I don't think they will. I think they should consider giving Candace a title because she's doing really, really well right now, though. I think that she's the right one. As for the North American title, I don't care that much, but I do love Damian Priest an awful lot, but they don't do him any favors with how they book him. He's supposed to be this super cool guy, and they constantly make him sell to people half his size and doing stuff that he probably shouldn't do, getting his tires slashed, like I've mentioned. That's not cool. Damian Priest is cool just in his own, and I think they should book him accordingly.
Well, it's going to be awesome to see what they do. Um, with between SmackDown and stuff like that, it's very, very been progressive. It's interesting to see how Raw was supposed to be the A show, and now NXT's the A show, and SmackDown is still where it is. And let's say we look in about a year, 2021, do you think Raw goes back to number one and then NXT drops a little bit? I mean, they did do pretty good numbers in the ratings this week.
No, I think Raw and SmackDown are pretty permanent entities, and Monday night is a fixture for a lot of people, just not as many people as it used to be. However, SmackDown is an easier watch. And if SmackDown was on like Thursday or something, gosh, it'd be doing so much better. But it's on the death slot on Friday. And fortunately, right now, it's the Friday during the pandemic. Less people are going out, but I don't see a situation where they can get Raw above SmackDown anytime soon. Not with the way that they book that show.
God help us all. At least Raw was a little better than last week, and we could give them that much credit.
Wouldn't take much.
No, but at least it's a little better. Other than that, I mean, I could see them try to improve and build other talent, but who do you have in NXT to bring? I mean, they just took Tegan off too. Is there?
She might be hurt. I don't know if that's legit or not. I need to find out, honestly.
Yeah, and I hope they don't do her wrong because she is really good. So one thing I'm thinking is if they take Candice off and give her the title, Io's going straight up to Raw.
Yeah, I think so too. That seems to be the prevailing thought on like almost anybody who loses the title, though, right? We assume that they're going to go up, but this weekend, anybody who loses on that takeover show, we're going to be sitting around saying, "Oh, are they getting called up now? Are they getting called up now?" Because the draft is the next week, so we're going to be sitting here wondering who's getting called up, who's not getting called up, what's going on there. But I mean, even Chelsea Green got called up in May and they haven't used her. Vanessa Bourne got called up in January and they haven't used her. It's wild, man.
It's like literally the Wild Wild West, and Vince doesn't know what to do half the time.
Yeah,
I gotta keep fixing NDI. That's fine. Looks.
You really need to use StreamYard for sure.
Yeah, I got told Streamlabs was really good, and sometimes the NDI acts up.
Well, StreamYard, it's all done like via it doesn't affect your PC whatsoever. The video gets fed in through that, and then you stream it to your channel. It's very easy.
Yeah, maybe it's time.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see where we go for this week because there's so many things at the year, the draft, and everything. I am very, very excited to see where they take SmackDown, and especially the one thing I'm more curious about is Alexa Bliss. Just because of what they're doing the Jekyll and Hyde, Harley Quinn kind of thing. And do you think, like I was saying to Warren, that it's a possibility if they want to push Sasha, just hypothetically, away from Bayley for a little bit, and would you think Alexa would be the next perfect fit for her, like Hell in a Cell or a match at Hell in a Cell?
Possibly. What I would like to see happen is Sasha gets drafted next week. That's what I would love to see happen. That way they have to be split. But I don't trust WWE to do anything like that. I mean, you hear the story from Triple H all the time. Vince wanted to do the Batista match with him immediately. Just wanted to go ahead and do it. And they were like, no, we're going to wait. We're waiting until WrestleMania to do this. So you gotta protect yourself in that. And I don't know if that's something that Sasha will do, but I hope she does. I hope she says we need to hold off till WrestleMania. This is a big story. It's just a matter of making sure it's done.
It almost feels like it has Hunter on the pulse of this. Just like a little bit where they're trying to push it, and Vince is probably saying, we got to get this trigger done. We got to pull the trigger. And Hunter's trying to keep it away, like you said, the whole thing with Batista. I mean, that match has got so much meat on that, just like Roman does. It's just ridiculous. And those two, and it's interesting that Bayley and Roman are the two people in this company just for the main brands on it to keep everything afloat. I'll give Drew credit. Drew
Yeah.
is doing his freaking damnedest to keep Raw afloat. But I'm starting to think if they do ever sign Brock or they find somebody huge, let's say, Austin comes back just for a little bit, not to wrestle, but just, how they're doing the legends, they got to do something
Yeah.
with Raw because, they're pouring money into Raw, but the Fox deal looks like it was a brilliant move at that time now compared to where it is with USA.
AEW's coming out looking like they've got the best possible deal. They got super high demos, and they're for a fraction of that price. My God, they're looking real good. But as far as the WWE TV, oh man, it's so hard to get invested in this stuff emotionally. SmackDown does a much better job because they've got those three things anchoring the show of late. They got the Intercontinental title program, they got Bayley and Sasha, and then they got the main event thing, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Yeah, it's just a matter of doing it consistently. They got to condition me to feel like I need to care again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's literally they've been slapping us, the viewers, in the face a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be to a point where we need to get better as viewers and understand. Now, what I'm thinking is that if Raw keeps going down and down, USA has to figure out what to do. I want,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to think, what are the numbers? I know it's on their streaming platform for the NXT UK. What is the other option? I mean, the only other brand that's not on major television, other than probably in Britain, is the UK brand. It could make a bigger appeal because nobody sees some of that talent unless they come over here, and with COVID, that's not happening. So it could make an impact in ratings to switch it up here and there, but they're not going to do that.
Like what? What to change to add NXT UK to what? The US slate or something?
Like give them like how they used to do like Saturday main event, like do like a one special
Yeah.
kind of thing, where they did like they did ECW one night only. Kind of like a huge thing to
I
showcase that's probably going to be the superior brand long term.
I think they could do like a UK versus NXT thing. I think that's about the closest they'll go to that.
Yeah, and it'll be fun seeing it because you got Walter. The possibilities,
Yeah.
Walter and Finn. But with the draft looming, you never know. Some of those guys might get drafted too. They're part of the NXT brand.
Anything's possible. It's just I wonder if they even would right now. Maybe Imperium would, but I wonder if any of them would right now because they can't come over here right now.
Yeah, but still, it's fun to talk about. Now, you like fantasy football, obviously. I like
I do.
fantasy football. Let's just spitball for a little bit. If you had to pick the number one pick for each three brands of this, which ones would you pick individually?
Ooh, Raw has to be Drew McIntyre right now, or Randy Orton, one of those two. Um, so one or just one brand. Okay, I won't even care about which brand, but the top three right now, in my mind, are probably Roman Reigns, Bayley, and maybe Drew. And if not Drew, maybe Adam Cole, because Undisputed Era is coming with him. But I'm saying Reigns, Bayley, Drew at this stage.
Yeah, I'm more aligns the same. I believe the whole UE would be number one on NXT. They have to keep them there. Reigns, and then your second pick would probably be Bayley, and then, like you said, Sasha on Raw. But God, this is going to be fun to watch and see, playing a guessing game and stuff like that. It's good.
My hope is that they I just want them to follow it. That's it. I just want them to follow it and make sense of it.
And it's perfect thing because recently Raw has not made any sense. I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing that happens with me when the profits come up, I have red Solo cups stuck in my head for 2 hours. But I mean, it's gonna be fun, and regardless where it is, these matches we just had, but are gonna be really cool. The one thing I think of with NXT with Takeover coming up is like, you have to top the other person kind of aspect. So do you think with, Clash of Champions the way it was, is it possibility that we could have NXT try to outdo them like they always have in the past? I mean, there's been some pay-per-views where they set the bar before like WrestleMania sometimes, and people watch more of the NXT than WrestleMania sometimes, just because of how good those matches were, like in Brooklyn and stuff. Like some of those matches, people still talk about.
I think that as of right now, I think everything WWE main roster does is going to get more attention from a broad perspective than NXT. I mean, maybe more online buzz for NXT, but definitely the WWE stuff is getting watched more, without a doubt. I think it'll definitely deliver better in the ring than a lot of main roster WWE stuff, though, for sure. Especially with Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor main eventing.
Yeah, that's to me is one of the things that's intriguing. I'm happy for Breeze and Fandango being tag champions, but they gotta fix both of those. They gotta fix the tag champions in general.
Like, what do you mean? Like them being champions or
No, the
what?
whole division, all the divisions on all three brands, they have to fix it all.
Oh, yeah. Well, they keep splitting everybody up. It's very frustrating. It's hard for me to get invested when I know that nobody there that makes decisions is really invested either. It's very frustrating.
What would you, if you were the GM on one of them, who would you put it as a tag team? There's so many people they're not using, they need to use.
Well, it doesn't matter as much who is a tag team as much as protecting those tag teams. Okay, so I'll put it like this. The beginning of the 1990s, you had the Nasty Boys, you had the Hart Foundation, you had the Rockers, you had all these great teams, Legion of Doom, Demolition. The beginning of the 2000s, Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and Hardys. Those are the three everybody talks about, but then people forget, oh, yeah, the APA were around too, and Too Cool were around too. Like, they had a very deep tag team division. It was very
Yeah, the
deep. AEW
Bushwhackers
runs
too,
about
right?
a little bit at the beginning of the 90s, but they weren't really doing much of anything. They were there for comedy fodder and all that stuff and weren't really there for much else. But every so often you've had these rich tag team divisions pop up, and I mean, it really helps because it's easier for individual wrestlers to play off of to stand out when they actually have someone to play off of, whenever they have somebody to make jokes with and to laugh with and to uh, cast a personality onto and reflect onto the audience. It makes it so much easier to show that personality when you're not walking out in front of everybody with a microphone and going, here's my problem with this person. You can talk to somebody else about what your problem is, and it seems more natural. WWE has never, okay, I don't want to say never, past 16, 17 years has not cared about tag team wrestling. I have not felt that they've cared about tag team wrestling since probably on SmackDown 2002. In general, I would say 2001. I would say probably the end of 2001 was the last time I felt like WWE main roster really cared about their tag team division.
Yeah.
And it hasn't changed. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah, I completely agree. They have a lot of good tag teams at some points. The chat's even saying the Usos, the New Day, a lot of good ones, but it doesn't seem like he wants them. It just seems like to him it's a nuisance and he wants to keep everybody single. But a lot of people,
to me, it's an attraction.
Yeah.
To me, it's something easy that you can say, look, this is different than the singles match we're going to have. Different pace, different style, different presentation, different everything. But Vince McMahon won't do that.
Yeah, and it's a far difference. I mean, look at AEW. They're going all in some of the tag matches with FTR, Young Bucks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are into it. Now, with me, like I said, I work a lot just like you do. I try to consume as much as I can. So, I mean, a lot of times, I'll watch, NXT, but I don't have multiple TVs like a lot of people. So,
yeah,
it's really difficult to do it. But it's exciting. And this era of wrestling is almost getting back to that golden age where it's like people are getting all these diverse outlooks and stuff. Look at Impact with the women's division. That is stacked.
Yeah. It's one of the best. Some people give me some flack for saying it's the best in North America, but when I say that, I mean like you're dividing up Raw and SmackDown and NXT and NXT UK. Collectively, WWE has a better division, but they split it up into 4 different brands. I look at Impact Wrestling and I think they have the best single women's division that there is, and I don't think it's close. I think NXT is pretty good. Raw could be, but Impact is.
Yeah, Impact for me it goes Impact, NXT, SmackDown. I mean, and then you got a tie almost between AEW and Raw, but AEW seems like they're climbing up there really good. I mean, a lot of the matches I've been hearing have been insanely well.
Sorry, what was that?
I said a lot of those matches AEW's done in the women's division has been insanely done right.
I mean, I've really been enjoying Thunder Rosa's work. I think that Nyla Rose is very good. They're getting Britt Baker back this week, which is very important. They've got to put on like high level, good back and forth. I don't want to say back and forth matches, but matches that get people over and make you care and make you invest. That's what they got to do. And they're doing that a little bit lately, but they got to really step it up.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun to watch. Women's wrestling is becoming more and more prevalent. And then when I mean more and more, I mean like there's a lot of good matches they're pulling out left and right. I mean, we are getting another Hell in a Cell match, another women's one possibly, if that's 100% correct. We're going to have,
that stupid red cage, I bet.
Oh my God, please. And then you have the Elimination Chamber. You got all these great matches and stuff, but what do you think would be a perfect match for the women's division? Because you have all these like Hell in the Cell, you have Elimination Chamber, and a good example for just for themselves would be like NXT having the Fight Pit. So do you ever see down the line that the women's division in WWE or Impact or AEW having their own women's match, their own specific type of match?
I don't, because I think that eventually you'll have like a men's Fight Pit and all that stuff. I think eventually you'll have like a women's casket match or something of the kind. I think that almost any match will be used for any gender. It's just you got to look at some biologically and see which works best. Like for example, it's a lot tougher for women to do Battle Royal and Royal Rumble matches because biologically most women are shorter. The ropes don't get shorter though, as my microphone falls into my desk. The ropes don't get any smaller as a result, or any lower. So it's a little bit more difficult for them to fly over the top rope or something like that, unless there's something that is created that biologically most women can do that most men can't do, like fitting into something or going over or under something, whatever that may be, some sort of obstacle. I think that almost anything would just be used by both. I do hope that there are matches that are innovated for women first and then the men pick them up. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I have a feeling in my gut that one of these days we're going to get a match where it's innovative for women, women only. They deserve their own just due just because of that, because of the fact that they're working so hard. And then we're going to have, Becky and Charlotte coming back down the line. And I'm hoping that they do something fun with them. I mean, there's rumors going around about Ronda wanting to come back, and doing training with,
Oh, she said that she wants to come back. She said she wants to wrestle Natalia in the future, which is the most that we've gotten out of her in the last year and a half as far as will she come back or not? And that is the most that we've gotten so far.
Yeah, her Twitch stream is funny as hell. They were playing Battleground, I guess, and she said I got all upset because Becky and her are the same rating.
Oh yeah. Which I think that's fair. Honestly, I'd probably have Becky above her. She beat Becky, or Becky beat her.
Yeah, and that's the best part because this is all just, people judgmenting on video games. Speaking of video games, dude, That emulator's sick. I'm gonna say this much: that old school wrestling game that you put out was awesome.
The WrestleFest one.
Yeah,
So I have an actual emulator that I play at home, but for streaming purposes, I can't capture it or do anything like that. So actually, RJ City told me to use that website, and that's what I've been trying and playing, and I can hook up my controller and play it accordingly.
yeah. It's gonna be awesome to see where Fightful Gaming goes. Do you see anything else down the pike for Fightful Gaming that, in your mind, is prevalent?
Well, we're starting out with like wrestling and MMA and boxing gaming, and if like a wrestler or an MMA fighter is playing one of those three genres, the video games, we'll post something like that. But we're getting a lot more news. Like anybody I interview now, I'm asking them about the process of being in a video game, being approached to do that. We're looking to first become a primary news source as it pertains to wrestling, MMA, and boxing video games. And then if it does well and our streams do well, we'll consider branching out into other stuff. But that's like so long away. Like we're still learning everything. But I wanted it also because uh, gaming is a big advertising platform too, and I want us to look at that. I want to help people like Jeremy Lambert expand themselves financially, and I think that's a good way to do that. That is very low risk and high reward for our staff and for Fightful in general. So that was, I'd be lying if I didn't say that was a motivation, but and it's something that we do anyway. We play games anyway, not as much as I'd like to, but that's going to change now.
Yeah, and you did do a lot of streaming like a few years ago about the
Did.
the WWE series games. I wouldn't be surprised.
Sadly, I did. Oh, those games are getting so bad. I liked WWE 13 was amazing. I thought 2K maybe 16 or 17 was good, and 19 was like okay. 2K20 sucked. That game sucked so bad. Oh, it was bad. But Fire Pro Wrestling, I did some streaming of that, and I love Fire Pro Wrestling.
I like like I said, I like WrestleMania 2000. I used to do like a create a character when I had that console and just be able to play it. I'm very excited for everything you have down the pike. So we got like 20 minutes and stuff, so I wanted to let people know how I found Fightful. And I've told you this. I've told you off the air, and I've figured everybody's, you know, it's kind of me saying thank you to you because I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be having a show. I wouldn't be on if I didn't run into what you were doing for your friend. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further back before that and before the super chat that I donated at that point. And did you hear the podcast I did with Wild Boy? Speaking of, you, everybody needs to hear that. That guy's phenomenal.
Yeah, I listened to it today.
Okay. A lot of the stuff that on that is, real. And Wild Boy, I'm going to be recording with him soon. I'm going to do a roundtable with Hannah and Rob, and I'm excited for that. That's going to be recorded tomorrow and be out Saturday. But I was really depressed. What happened is that everybody in the community knows about my mom. They know about the diagnosis and stuff. But going through the process of, working and at that time being separated and going through a divorce and stuff, my divorce got finalized literally 3 days last year after my mom's birthday. So, it was the first birthday without her. I was going through that and, my mom's treatments at the same time. So I would be very depressed. I would come home on my days off after going out with friends and stuff like that. And I'd just shut the door, barricade myself, and not come out. Mm-hmm. And then lo and behold, I was looking for something for NXT. It was a takeover week. And my friend there, where you are, talking to Hunter. What?
And then you heard Fightful and you got really depressed. You're like, well, life is looking good because it can't get any worse than listening to a Fightful podcast.
Well,
and it pulled you out.
what actually happened is that I got more curious. I sat there and listened to the whole thing, and I was intrigued. So then I would go back to the site on the YouTube channel. I would listen to the review shows with Alex and you, and then Warren and stuff like that. And I would literally be working the next day on a Tuesday, listening to the Monday night review, falling asleep to it, waking up, rewatching it. So yeah, twice. Rewatching it on the way to work, like listening to it. And then when I get home, trying to analyze stuff in my head, what I thought too. The part that got me, and I'm still listening to it, is when you were talking about cutting your hair. And and if anybody hasn't checked out, Grappling with Grief, you need to do that. It is very good. But to be honest, my friend, and I want to say thank you because of all this. And this is a tribute to your character and who you are as a person. It literally, it created a legend in the community that shouldn't have been created, but it did. And when I heard you were donating your hair, it was literally right after my mom told me she was terminal. I feel like I'm gonna cry. It's one of those things in life. Certain what they call a serendipity, and certain things actually happen the way it's supposed to. Do you remember that one super chat, the first one I did?
I mean, if you bring it up, I'll remember it. Individual super chats.
No, I know.
I'll remember when prompted. Yeah.
It was the one where you were, I think it was the review show for Raw, and you were talking about you cutting your hair, and that you were gonna do it for your friend, and all that about what she went through and everything. And there I am, and I'm like, I'm in the chat, I'm talking, and I'm like, why isn't anybody answering questions? I didn't know about super chats. I was new to this shit. And then I sent one, and I said that this is for Sean to donate for cutting his hair, and I explained what I was going through. And then after that, my mom passed. I met an amazing woman. And I kept sending like a few dollars here, a few dollars there. And, once in a while, and you hit me up saying thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm just saying this because tonight's show is going to be short, because literally this is very emotional for me. And I appreciate Sean taking his time out when normally it's his day off. And the thing is that now I have a friend in arms for the rest of my life, and I know that. And without you guiding me through all this stuff in the last year, and I've been wanting to say this, I think I said it off camera, because of what you did for your friend, it's now sending a precedent in my life where I need to do and pay it forward. So me saying that, do good deed, pay it forward, it's not a moniker. It's not me saying it. It's encouraging people to do so. At the end of the day, Sean, you are a good person, and what you did is amazing. But hopefully me talking about my mom and my story with Wild Boy, with you, with everybody, has a bigger impact also.
Getting it out there does that. Getting it out there is very important. The reason I cut my hair is because I had a friend who, she was a beautiful girl, whether she had hair or not, but when she was losing her hair, she did not want to be seen. And to me, it didn't matter, but to her, it did. And I remember when I cut my hair, it came full circle to me. Like, I donated it for her because I wanted to make somebody else feel better. And I wanted to raise some awareness and some money for the cause as well. But I remember I was like, I kept feeling the back of my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I look? Do I look bad? And then I was like, oh wait, this is what she went through. She sat around saying, do I look bad? Do I look bad? But not only that, she had her life weighing on her shoulders while she did that. And it kind of brought it full circle. And that's why, like, even if I pick, like, if I'm trolling somebody on Twitter, if they say something rude to me, I'm not going to make fun of how they look. I'm not going to do any of that, because that would defeat the purpose of what I did. I don't think that anybody should have to worry about that. Everybody should strive to do as well as they can and take care of themselves as best they can, but they shouldn't have to worry about being ridiculed for living their life for how they look, and that's what she was afraid of. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like that. I never thought I'd have a platform where anybody would even care, let alone, I mean, my gosh, we've raised money for wigs for kids. We've raised money for Maggie's wigs for kids, um, for Sammy for Syria, for Sprinkles of Hope, for No Kid Hungry, like so many different causes. No Profanity September. We're doing that with Ron
Yeah.
Patel. And basically, I'm going to order, I think, $1,200 worth of supplies. And over the next year, when they need it, I'm going to tell them, hit me up. I've got them stocked away. I've got you all taken care of. Anytime you need kitty litter or cat food or like anything like that, our local places, they actually need the typical necessities as opposed to the blankets and socks. And that's not an opportunity that I'd get to have usually. And so to be able to help people like that, it makes me very happy. And if I was able to help you in any way, man, that makes me so happy too.
Yeah, and I have a friend in arms for the rest of my life. I know that.
Of course.
But the other thing also is that I don't ever want to hear or have anybody see to go through what me and my sister did. We
Sure.
literally saw from March of 2019, going from 2018 to 2019 because she was dormant on my birthday, and then she started falling to escalating down quickly, becoming hospice home, and then slowly seeing her deteriorate. Now, I told my sister this. I don't think I've told you this. May 21st last year, because we already passed 1 year, her eyes were in the back of her head when they transported her to the hospice
Mhm.
house. And I already knew, but I don't ever want to see somebody tell me or anything. It's not me saying I don't want to hear it or anything. It's just I don't want anybody going through what I went through. And I know one other person who did. And Wild Boy, I got much love for you because, like you said, you've gone through it too. It's not fun seeing someone deteriorate or just go right in front of your eyes. It's not. And my mom literally deteriorated in front of my eyes. Like, literally, the beginning of right after Easter, April, she was fine. We were sitting there watching the Red Sox game, joking about me being stupid and all that stuff. And then the next thing you know, she's gone. And I will honestly say this much: my mom brought me my girlfriend and guided me towards her, and I want to thank her for that. And I know she listens and stuff. But I also think because of Fightful and because of what you put out for your story and your team, the community and stuff, I would probably still be in that room in the dark, not wanting to come out.
Well, I'll say the same thing that I said to Wild Boy, and it goes for both of you because, man, I think you probably figured out when you did the show with him, you all are an awful lot alike, and different in unique ways too. But I know that I never got to meet either of your moms, but I know they had to be great people because they raised you two. So I mean, that's a pretty good indication. That's a pretty good legacy to leave behind that your parents raised you and Wild Boy's parents raised him. And man, that we're lucky to have you guys. We're lucky to know you guys because that's not something I would have had 3 4 years ago. I wasn't even as active then, and now I am. And it's unfortunate the circumstances that led us to this, but hey, I'm in the end, I'm glad that I have a few more friends.
Yeah, and I'm hopefully after COVID, I know you don't drink alcohol and stuff, but one day we can go to a pub, have food, and just sit there and talk.
Yeah, of course. I do go to bars. I do go to pubs. Not often, but I do. And yeah, I wish this COVID stuff would
There
end.
ain't no pub like a Boston pub, I'm telling you that much.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess so. I'm gonna think there's probably the pubs that I've been to don't have anything on Boston pubs.
No, it's a different animal, especially around Boston, like where I'm from. It's just insane. But I want to cut this podcast short because I know there's your special someone you want to spend with, and it's only right for me to do so because I appreciate you more than anything as a friend and stuff, and I understand, you know, how much time you have with that person. So I know we're like 7 minutes away. Just tell them what's going on with you, Sean. And like I said, thank you so much.
Oh gosh, we got everything over at Fightful, guys. Check out Fightful and keep checking out Throwback Show. This type of thing is important. It's therapeutic. It's helpful. It's it's a good experience to go through. Like I would probably still be doing my show if two people watched it. That's the thing. There have been times when I've looked at my job and I'm like, oh, man, maybe I should go work at Amazon or something instead. And I was like, well, you know what I'd do when I got home from Amazon? I would get on a stream and I would talk about wrestling with people that I like. And that's what I like to do. And that's what I came here to do. And that's what I do a bunch of times every single week. And I want to thank you guys. I see like Wild Boy in the chat and Jobber and Tim Traver and these people and Ron Patel, DGMC that have been around Fightful for so long. Thank you guys. I really mean it.
And
I don't get to say it
and
as
you got one special woman that near and dear to my heart in the chat right now.
Crystal. I see her in the chat. I bring out the celebrities in your life. I am a draw.
Yeah,
So that's all I can say.
but
That's all I can say. But I do want to thank you guys because this is like working at Fightful is my dream job. I've passed up a lot of other spots to stay at Fightful, and I don't regret it ever. I never sit there and think, oh, I wonder if I would have taken that Wrestling Inc. job again. How would that be? No, I don't. I don't regret it at all. All due respect to those places. I like what we've created at Fightful because of the environment that we've created at Fightful. And Rob Wilkins in the super chat too. Like I like the family and the environment and the just the community we've built, and you're a big part of that, so thank you.
well, the other thing also is that you, Rob, Warren, Wild Boy, and everybody, it's a blessing. But I'm gonna be selfish since she's in the room, and that's very rare. My mom would literally be thankful for you, Rob, Crystal. Yeah, definitely Crystal. And my friends and my family, because literally that dark room would not be coming out. Yeah, I'm going to start to cry. um, and it's one of those things for me, having good friends, having a good girlfriend, having a good family, after going through two things, really difficult two things, and it it's really hard to lose your mom, but also go through the whole process I was going through, and then meeting an amazing woman and her standing by you through all the pain and the anguish you're going through. And I know I could see it in her eyes that sometimes she sees me when I'm going and I'm talking about my mom and stuff. It hurts. It really does. But I'm so grateful for her, and I'm really appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of you as a friend, and I needed to say this on cam and off cam. And like I said, do a good deed. Sean is the hardest working guy I've ever met. And he is literally a saint at times with me and Rob when we're talking or acting at dorks and chats. But
I appreciate you, man.
yeah, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate what you and Jimmy do. Check out all that stuff. It's all in the comment section. But I have a new, speaking of Crystal, a new promotion to promote. It's not anything that no one's paying me. It's just because it's the right thing to do. There's a Facebook group in the description. Go check it out. Join them.
Yes.
They're a small, very small startup, and they do amazing job things. You could check the pictures out. Um, the startup on the group is Two Sisters, One Machine. You can message them, and they will help you get the designs you want. Now, it's just starting out. It's very intricate. but a lot of the stuff they're doing is really good. They're doing like Santa cam ornaments right now. They're getting stuff ready for the holidays. Check them out. Tell them that Throwback sent you. Other than that, got the podcast kicking out. Hopefully one day I can get Sean down the line on the audio side of it whenever he's available. But at the end of the day, hit the bell, subscribe, give it a like. I just want to say thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I got much love for everybody. Pay it forward and do a good deed. I'm a Patriots fan by heart, but Sean's converting me. But have fun, guys.